Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking an explosive May 2026 forecast that is literally sending shockwaves through both the tech world and the financial markets. We're looking at a moment that completely redefines how we need to think about the future of artificial intelligence, the global economy, and honestly, humanity's whole trajectory. Now, if you've been following the AI space, you know that timelines for advanced AI are fiercely debated. But recently, a statement dropped that completely shifts the gravity of that entire conversation.
Just listen to this quote. I reluctantly come to the view that there's a likely chance, 60% plus, that no human-involved AI R&D happens by the end of 2028. This isn't just some late-night science fiction thought experiment. It is a monumental statement made by Jack Clark, Anthropic's co-founder and head of policy. He's talking about an AI system powerful enough to autonomously build its own successor, and by stamping a date of late 2028 on it, he essentially just started a 32-month ticking clock for the rest of the world.
So here is how we're going to break this all down today. First, we'll look at the 2028 AI forecast itself. Then, the crucial difference between engineering and AI research. After that, we'll dive into how this is overhauling Anthropic's internal operations, the IPO Disclosure Dilemma it creates, and finally, how it's completely rewriting AI valuation models. Let's get into it.
Part 1. The 2028 AI Forecast.
What makes this forecast so absolutely massive is the institutional weight behind it. The AI timeline discourse has been incredibly loud since 2022, sure, but it has almost entirely been driven by ex-employees, outside forecasters, or researchers just speaking personally. When folks like Leopold Aschenbrenner or Daniel Kokotallo made their bold 2027 predictions, they did it as former employees without a massive company to defend. But Jack Clark? He is a sitting co-founder and head of policy at a leading frontier lab. He's the one communicating with the US government and foreign regulators for Anthropic. Putting a 60% probability on automated AI R&D by 2028 means this is a position Anthropic is comfortable holding publicly. It creates this immense institutional commitment that you really can't walk back without taking a severe reputational hit.
Moving right along to Part 2, Engineering versus AI Research.
Okay, to really grasp the reality of this timeline, we've got to separate AI engineering from AI research. AI engineering is the highly methodical work. It's writing the code, running the experiments, debugging, optimizing, all the heavy lifting. AI research, on the other hand, requires that spark of genuine inventiveness. It's generating novel ideas and knowing exactly what to try next. And here's the wild part. Current AI systems are already saturating benchmarks testing those specific engineering skills. They are getting incredibly good at the methodical grind. And automating even just that engineering side triggers some seriously dangerous risks. Even if true AI research still requires a human spark, if an AI can automate vast chunks of the engineering work, it creates an absolute monster of a productivity multiplier. Think about it. A human provides the seed idea, and the AI instantly writes the code, scales it, and tests it. But here's the critical danger. When an AI system begins recursively improving itself at that blazing speed, any hidden alignment issues or minor errors are going to compound exponentially.
Which brings us to Part 3. Overhauling Anthropic's internal operations.
So before this forecast dropped, safety gestures and timelines could remain somewhat abstract. But now, post-forecast, Anthropic is forced to pivot immediately to concrete binding governance. If your head of policy is out there publicly stating we are inside a 32-month window before an AI can train its own successor, you absolutely cannot operate internally as if that threshold is 10 years away. Everything, from their long-term benefit trust governance to how they allocate compute for interpretability, has to be explicitly calibrated to this 2028 reality.
To actually navigate this incredibly brief window, Anthropic must systematically follow 3 steps. First, acknowledge the timeline, which, check, they just did. Second, they have to show their work. The public and regulators are going to demand to see actual alignment research and operating evidence, no more abstract good corporate citizenship gestures. And third, they must coordinate globally across labs and governments. Because if Anthropic publishes this forecast and then just puts their head down to race competitors to the finish line, they risk creating the exact civilizational danger they claim they're trying to manage.
All right, Part 4. The IPO Disclosure Dilemma.
$900 billion. According to reports, Anthropic is in late-stage preparation for a Q4 2026 initial public offering, with this absolutely staggering valuation on the line. And the timing of this is fascinating. Releasing a 2028 forecast right in the pre-IPO disclosure window absolutely destroys the cynical argument that this is just a clever PR stunt. When you're prepping for an IPO, public statements made by your executives become part of the documented public record context. By publishing this estimate right now, Jack Clark is legally and structurally binding Anthropic to formal disclosure obligations. The IPO documents themselves will actually be expected to acknowledge this massively compressed timeline. They've essentially constrained their own future corporate flexibility just to ensure the public discourse around AI safety is fully informed. It's an incredibly bold calculation, both financially and operationally.
And finally, Part 5, Rewriting AI Valuation Models.
Traditional financial models basically assumed a gradual emergence of artificial general intelligence somewhere between 2030 and 2040. Investors built all their models based on that steady, multi-decade horizon. But with Anthropic targeting automated AI R&D by the end of 2028, that entire assumed future is suddenly collapsing into a tight 24 to 36-month window. The future is quite literally arriving before the old financial models even start paying out. This essentially means that current terminal value models for long-term equity pricing are just completely broken. If you're a venture capitalist or a public market investor, you cannot use a standard 10-year discount rate if the entire economic paradigm might shift in just 32 months. Decades of technological value creation are being compressed into a tiny window. This is forcing an immediate rethink of how capital is deployed, how massive compute data centers are financed, and how you even value frontier lab equity. Every single financial equation in the tech sector now has a massive new variable: 2028.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this somewhat haunting reality. The debate is essentially over for the insiders. The head of policy at one of the world's leading frontier labs has clearly stated that a profound change in how the world works is basically at our doorstep. The question is no longer if, or even when, the timeline has been drawn. So how will you, your organization, and our broader society use the 32 months we have remaining? Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating and critical forecast. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.